Hi, you folks. Justin Skeens, friendly neighborhood firearms instructor. I'm out here on another beautiful spring day here at Cardinal Shooting Center in Marengo, Ohio. Today, I'm going to talk to you a little bit about not only the Canic Rival S, but I've also got the new Cyelee Wolf EDG mounted onto it. The idea of a closed emitter optic is, of course, that you're not going to get a bunch of dust, dirt, rain, whatever inside, cause your optic to blur out. Anybody that shot any of the major matches over here knows that we typically have quite a bit of weather. So far, I've really liked this optic. I'm going to do a little bit of live fire with it today. One of the things that I really enjoy about it is it does have two little notches on the back that can act as a rear sight, and it mounts low enough that honestly, if I still had my front sight on here, it was hanging up in my holster, so I took it off. I believe that you could co-witness. So I did have the Wolf Pro on here. The sight window is a little bit shorter than the Wolf Pro. It is an RMR footprint, but the sight window is also a little bit wider. Very clear glass. The dot itself is very clear, which is important to me because I do have astigmatism. And with most optics, when I turn the brightness all the way up, I wind up getting a starburst effect, which can really affect accuracy at distance. With this one, it's still just a nice, crisp dot. Again, 3 MOA is a little bit smaller than what I prefer, but I also shoot a lot of competitions. So I like to have a 5 or 6 MOA. I've also got the Cyelee SRS 8, and it has an 8 MOA dot on it, if you can believe that. And I really like that too. So without further ado, we've got some steel targets set up here. Let me swing you around. We've got 10-inch plate on the left, 3 12-inch plates, and a rectangle in the middle. Real quick, I'm going to give you a little bit of a better look at this optic. Notice the low mount here. Now they did angle the battery compartment here. There, you can see it a little bit better. They angled the battery compartment to be able to let everything get a little bit lower. So it does run a 1620 battery. I'm not sure how good battery life is going to be on this, but we're going to try it. So they did borrow the upper optic design from their Cobra line. They claim this optic is drop proof from 6 feet on a 35-ounce gun. Haven't tried it yet. I'll have to find a 35-ounce gun because I'm real certain that this Canic Rival S is heavier than that. But, I mean, in theory, the extra structure at the top should help out with protecting that glass, help disperse any kind of shock load across it. See if we can get, there we go, that nice crisp dot right there. So it is on the highest brightness setting right now. So we cycle down. So you do have dimmer options if you wanted to use this at night. And we go back up to the highest setting. Overall, pretty impressed. Cylee's been coming out with some really cool stuff here lately. And I think for an optic that you can get, I believe MSRP is under 250 bucks, and closed emitter optic, RMR footprint, comes with all of the screws that you could possibly need to be able to mount this. One of the things that I've ran into in the past is that the screws aren't long enough to get a good bite on the slide or the plate, and these came with screws that were plenty long enough, actually on the verge of being too long for this plate, but everything cinched down. Tightened it up with my torque wrench, and then used some orange Loctite on it. I've been using the orange Loctite just because it's supposed to be vibration resistant. I haven't had any optics or compensators work their way loose ever since I switched over from running blue. So let's do a little bit of live fire. The ammo that I'm using today is from the Buffalo Cartridge Company. 9mm, 115 grain, full metal jacket. This is their Adrenaline Precision series. Seems to be decent ammo. I've ran a little bit of it. I do have some hand loads here. If I have time today, I might run some of those through it. The 115 grain, for those that don't know, especially factory loaded ammo, tends to be a little bit more snappy. I'm a competition shooter for the most part. we're really looking to try to find every advantage that we can. So I do like to run 147 grain hand loads in competition. That's just a personal preference. It changes the recoil impulse and makes the gun shoot a little bit flatter for me. Honestly, probably not a good enough shooter for it to really make a difference if I'm just being perfectly true to myself, but hey, it's my story. I can tell it how I want, right? So I have not zeroed this optic yet. This is the factory zero. I am hitting just a touch high. The dot is really easy to track. Very crisp, bright enough that I can see it, but not like fading out into that starburst effect. Honestly, kind of impressed. Let's run a little bit more through it. Gotta say, the more that I've shot this Canik Rival S, the more that I have grown to like it. I've had several of these Cyelee Optics, and I really enjoy those as well. I was just up at the storefront there, Red Feather, talking with Tyler, and we were kind of talking about how Cyelee is kind of like the Canik of the optic world. So if you've ever bought a Canik pistol, you know that they throw everything they can into the case. Cyelee kind of does that with their optics too. You wind up getting a ton of optic screws with it, so no matter what you're trying to mount it onto, you're going to have the optic screws that you need. And they sent several tools along with it to help you mount it up, and then the adjustment screws. One thing that I do want to point out about this optic, a lot of the Cyelee optics in the past did not have tactile clicks when you were setting the windage and elevation. This one actually does, and I think that that's an improvement on their end that a lot of folks are going to appreciate. Not too bad. We are at, I'm going to say we're at probably 20 yards here. Ran out. One thing about these magazines that I'm running is they do have the grams follower kit, so you don't get the last round hold open. Got another magazine loaded up. Magazine did not lock in. There we go. Got my ghost rig on right now. This is for my Tanfoglio Domina, so I can't work from the holster. Apologies. How do you miss the big plate? Like, I can forgive the 10-inch plate on the left, but the big plate? Ah. Missed it again. I know what I did there, though. I stopped short on it. Ah! You always run out of ammo too fast, don't you? So, a couple of thoughts on the Cyelee Wolf EDG. Seems to be a decent optic. Obviously, I've only got probably 50 rounds through it, so I can't tell you about durability. I can tell you that the quality of build seems to be really nice. I like the fact that it mounts low enough, and they've added the rear sight posts on the back over top of that elevation adjustment. So if you are running a front sight, you can use that as a I guess, quasi rear sight. Gives you the option to be able to co-witness, especially with the Canics. So they tend to mount the optics really high. So I can't stress that enough how much I like how low this optic sets. Really natural to pick up. Doesn't have the optic cantilevered over the ejection port, so I don't have to worry about brass hitting the optic, causing malfunctions or whatever. The glass itself is recessed on the front. Having the enclosed emitter, you're not going to wind up getting a whole lot of dust and dirt causing vision problems. Interested to try it out in the rain at some point and see how it does with that. But honestly, all of the Cyelee optics that I've ran, I haven't had any problems with blurring in rain. And they do claim that they are waterproof, and I have tested it. So I have put these things in water and taken them out and shot them. But I got to say that overall, initial impressions are pretty good on this. What are your thoughts? Would you trust a sub $300 enclosed emitter optic? Obviously, this isn't on a carry gun for me. This is probably going to be my carry optics gun. It's kind of hard to beat the Canic, and I got to say, I think it's kind of hard to beat the Wolf EDG from Cyelee. Anyways, folks, as always, train hard, stay safe, shoot straight, and have yourself a wonderful day.